Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in YouTube and Twitch and everyone. I hope you are having a good day today, a good evening, a good night, wherever you may be. I hope you're drinking water, eating some food, getting some sleep, taking care of yourself the best that you can in this moment. It's all that we can ask for. We are on to the final day of the final trial of presumably the final case of the first Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney game. Pretty sure that Gant, aka Ganondorf, is the one that did it. We learned about Joe Dark and the Joe Dark killings, the serial killer, and his last victim, Neil Marshall, brother of Jake Marshall, our cowboy friend, who has some of the best character music in this game. And pretty sure, based on all the clues and intuition, that it was probably a setup, and that in terms of like baiting Joe Dark to try to kill someone, and then I'm pretty sure that Gant killed Neil Marshall, and basically I think Gant did it. Gant did everything. Gant orchestrated all of it. He's got an iron grip on the police force and the prosecutor's office. So the odds are kind of stacked against us. We'll see what happens. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Final day, trial former. February 25th, 9:47 a.m., District Court Defendant Lobby number 2. This is the defendant lobby, all right. But there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Who's this? Something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth! Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the all 7 ID numbers, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True. Not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, right, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. And the truth... everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. And that depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll use your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? This is it. If I'm ever gonna find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. Before that, the police chief has a proposal to make.
Chief Gant.
Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Ajay been back to the pool yet?
No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work.
Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that.
If you don't mind me asking, Chief, what exactly is this proposal of yours?
Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court.
She wants to do what?
Having heard that she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble.
What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and I'll be finished.
Well then, what's your request?
Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21 of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office.
No, Lana!
You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services.
But, Lana!
Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please.
Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. The request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise.
This can't be happening.
It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court defines the defendant.
Objection!
One moment, Your Honor.
Mr. Edwards.
The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature.
Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut,
I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant.
What?
Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes? Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With the sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes.
Some kind of deal? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy.
I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness.
Oh, do.
As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Well said, Edgeworth.
Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. It's okay with you, right, Chief Gant?
Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words.
Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator.
2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct?
Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time.
Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. An incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant?
Yes, it most certainly is.
Well, okay then.
He sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. Two years ago.
I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
A good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder?
That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination.
I mean, so, to pause for 1 second, this doesn't quite make sense because I've technically just been fired. Phoenix has been fired from the defense. Therefore, Lana should technically be the one doing the cross-examination right now because she's representing herself.
I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage.
Who was that man? A man?
Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer.
Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest.
When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right?
Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye and Gant's office.
There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look, and that's when I saw him.
I think. Do you have an autopsy report? Yeah, we do.
But I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
Welcome in, Landmaster. We just started, so I just started. I'm naming. Okay. Did I do the wrong one? Hold on. I guess I need to press first. That must have been a real shock. Even now when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly. Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Dark was holding you hostage. When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. I was thrown aside, and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them. Well, it doesn't have any reason to lie. Alana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much about this as she can. Okay, so I just need to press, it looks like. No contradictions yet. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes. She was second in command under the deputy chief of police, Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever.
Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Scar used to be quite the pair.
I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. Ah, I see. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. I think we did this one already, but just for the sake of... yeah. Yep. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Near Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Near Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony.
I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark.
When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead. And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but... Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark just then. The lights went out.
Lights?
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out.
Wait a minute. It was pitch dark in that room. You shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Let's see. So she stop here. Poor Emma. These memories are really torturing her. It's been through enough already. Thank you, Emma. You don't have to go into that. Now then, please tell us, the scene that imprinted an image in your mind. Can you please describe it to us? The man... and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. Oh, interesting. I see. So the report actually doesn't say stabbed in the back, but this does. Okay, let's do this and then we'll go and redo that. Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? Yeah. Alright. I think we do have to do the hear more. Yeah, we gotta push more. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. And that's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, you heard enough.
Now, I think we need to ask about the picture. This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture.
Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. But it seems to have been lost. It was not lost. It's right here. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident.
Please turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it over? Turn it... Ah! What's this?
Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew.
Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here.
What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list.
Oh. These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
Would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago. Only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What?
Order, order! Miss Sky, why did you draw your picture on the back of this such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor.
You're alright, Mr. Wright. Your eyes are bulging from your head.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's possible. Let's see.
Is something wrong?
Do you even have to ask? I'm sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. Huh? Not the music.
That's that thing? That thing that was dancing in the evidence room.
Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper.
Very well, witness.
Well, first, let's see. So we have this updated now. Interesting.
You please testify about the picture you drew 2 years ago.
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Emma's picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
Maybe a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. Clearly shows Joe Dark about a murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye. 2 or 3 days later. The memory should still have been fresh in her mind.
Excuse me, witness. Can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black?
The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue. No, I couldn't see him clearly. That's important to know. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? After that, I must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No, I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact scene. Wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives. Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. Better watch out or you might find some way to cut my salary. I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Right. There's something that's bothering you about this picture.
Huh? Oh, well... That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet... there's clearly a contradiction here. Now is it the autopsy report? We did go silent. Yep. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember just like it was yesterday.
Right. Perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report?
Oh boy. I think it's this part here.
I don't see what's strange about it.
That's because the drawing stinks. Mr. Wright, how could you? The act of making an innocent go quiet should warrant the death penalty. Okay, let me safety save here real quick. Guess that means I shouldn't shift blame to others. So listen, I'm gonna take another look in this picture. I mean, was it not this part? Is it not the part here? The contradiction, there he goes, the knife. I thought it was the way that the victim was facing, so. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken.
And I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Oh, what's the meaning of this?
Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
Right, but what does this mean?
The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness' memory is mistaken. And that's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There's another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No.
Order, order, order! You're saying the investigation really was corrupted?
Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutor's Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It's my belief that somewhere in this story, there's a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. Yeah, because it wasn't the knife. It wasn't Joe Dark's knife. Because it wasn't Joe Dark. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. And this could not have been the actual murder weapon. Edward got it. There must have been another broken knife.
What are the chances of there being 2 broken knives?
Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's. Could there have been one? Nope, there's another one. The witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw. It can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright? In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume then that you have some information about this other broken knife. So please feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside the picture. And this is a picture of the awards ceremony. Oh.
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award.
Order, order, order.
Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors award knife was the murderer, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, the man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh!
The prosecutor was the one who actually died.
That's true. What's going on here? Come on, Phoenix! It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything.
Good news.
Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please?
Is this the one with that picture scribbled on the back?
I knew it. This picture, I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture.
The music is back.
All this time, I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye?
Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up and now the blue badger? Should be interesting. Emma's recollection. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Oh? Oh, well, that would make sense. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. Oh?
It's certainly most unusual.
Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Yes, well, the friends.
Stop, please, don't pursue this any further. Lana?
What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back.
Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Relief, please detain the defendant.
Seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. I saw that man raise his knife. I panicked and rushed towards both of them. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. He seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife.
As we just
Theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Oh, I didn't know that at the time. When that dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was I've got to help the other person. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. It's actually not the case. So we know what happened. Let's see if I can present this. Ah! It does, but now's not the right time. Alright, fine. What do you mean you think? It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur. Miss Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife.
you did was very brave, young girl. So then what happened next?
Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. Okay. Are you sure about this? Of course, see? I even drew a picture of him here. But it was the chief of detectives who thought up this hideous beast. And that was just this year. The blue badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before. Somewhere. Now I finally remember. Oh, brother. Just when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion.
Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing?
He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face, with his winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. Actually, I think there are 3 points, but... that thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is that what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh? And I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means, please tell us what the shadow really was. Phoenix, I'm not gonna lie. You've kinda lost me. Oh. Maybe that? Yeah, that could be. It's the pot. I'll save just in case. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger really? I just might know. The blue badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright?
In his room. Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? To show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike.
The mysterious blue badger was in fact this.
That's... what exactly is that?
I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if I were to change our viewpoint?
Our viewpoint?
I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this. I've got to make it look more like the badger. Allow me to remind the defense, this case hinges on the witness's drawing. If Mr. Wright can't match the shape the witness drew, we cannot accept his claim. Gotta find just the right angle. Maybe I should rotate it vertically a bit more, or horizontally. You can do it. Oh. Oh, maybe it's the other way? Hold on. Oh, jeezums. Ah, there it is. Is that close enough, you think? How close, how exact do I have to be here? Oh my gosh. That close enough? Oh my gosh. I can't solve a basic rotational puzzle. I'm doomed. Yeah, just the right angle. I get that part. However... I don't... I being an idiot? Is it the other way? No, that doesn't make any sense. Oh my gosh. Why is it so particular? Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny its jar's resemblance to the blue badger. No, it can't be.
Order, order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this.
Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. It was quite the dramatic performance. Just imagine a defense attorney being like, rotate it slightly to the left, slightly to the right. It kind of looks something like this. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. It doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed. Very well then, please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw this jar? Save. Saw the murder weapon. The murder weapon wasn't the jar. We know that. The murderer, I mean, yes, but I don't think that's what they're asking for. Maybe the location? Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar?
Where?
The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on the shelf in the office of Damon Gant. The body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it's these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Not necessarily. Or he changed the sides. Yes. How would he do that? There's no reason. I guess not. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason.
You know what that reason was, Mr. Wright?
I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying?
That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Oh no, I was right.
A suit of armor. With a very sharp and dangerous looking sword.
Yes. Since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, it would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking... Yes, there is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room.
Another possibility?
Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this.
Right. What's the matter?
If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Yup. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! I never imagined her testimony would lead to this.
So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented.
What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. I'm willing to bet I do. Unfortunately.
Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence.
Well, we do. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. It's all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility?
Do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another. That's impossible.
Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Such a message exists.
Gotta think back to the court record. Well, there's two possibilities. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. It's in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be.
Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence. It conveys a message from the deceased.
Well, it could be that. But it also could be this. Yeah. This is the message left by the deceased.
This is that blue badger from before, right?
Now, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see the faint trail of blood on this jar. Looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there's a line here, drawn in blood. I'm interested to see how they do this in, or if this image is actually changed from the original Japanese version, and how they're going to explain this evidence in this English version, because the line itself looks a lot to me like the character Ma from written in hiragana, or is it katakana? I don't remember which one, but in Japanese, in one of the Japanese writing styles. So what you're saying is these dots. Ah, I see. So they're going to connect the dots. Were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the line changes direction. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No.
Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal the answer. Gotta connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written given these circumstances: his murderer's name. I mean, I can think, but no, it's this. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind.
Well, people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life
Was Emma Skye.
See, Welly. Can't say I didn't warn you.
Chief Gant.
Do you understand the implications of what you've done?
What are you talking about?
2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. Ah!
But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable.
I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice?
What?
We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied.
That might have sent an innocent man to his death. He just stand there like it wasn't his fault.
Order, order, order!
Cavill's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. It's the first part of the trial done. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours.
Hope I'm not interrupting anything, Bells. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later.
Oh, he looks so sad when he leaves. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
You got a lot of nerve, Bell. Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it up, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals.
I take it Lana's having you run errands again?
Let me tell you, this is the last time, Bell.
Oh my gosh, it's like evidence law for dummies.
Here, she asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial.
Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. You could at least study some evidence law, really.
The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message.
A message?
He said if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need this book.
Him? Guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. I don't have the book yet. Then give me the book. Now I have it. Evidence law securely slipped into pocket.
Doesn't look like that book will do any good now, though.
The final piece of evidence. Rule number 1. Rules of submitting evidence. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. I think that's all there was to that one.
All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence.
That's where you're wrong, Detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat? Despite all these allegations being thrown at me?
Mr. Edgeworth,
The real trial today hasn't begun yet.
What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death. And now, you're telling me you want to do more? You gotta be kidding me, pal.
You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body.
That means the real killer is still out there.
Oh, that means the real killer is still out there.
What?
And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end.
Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties on your actions.
Thank you for the news, Your Honor.
Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness. But, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have,
Struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses?
I didn't say that. Just, you see, everyone's been talking, and...
Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution.
A solution?
That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses.
But when there's no precedence for what you're proposing...
Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say?
Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal.
And it's settled. Then, defense, we now call forth the next witness.
Mr. Wright, you do realize this is your last chance? Save immediately. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. Defense calls. Time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. I think we have to. It's gotta be Gant. It's gotta be Gant, right? Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand.
Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything?
As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor?
True. All right, bailiff. Please escort Mr. Gant to the stand.
Witness, please state your name and occupation.
What is this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch.
Your name and occupation, sir.
Worthy, are you sure you want to do this?
Your name and occupation.
So, you want to play hardball, eh?
Please, Mr. Gant.
Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police.
Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony.
Oh, righto. What's with the grim face?
First, let's clear up this SL9 incident.
Oh, you mean the time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already.
There are still some things unaccounted for.
Oh? Like what?
Like the role you played in all of this.
Son, either you're very brave, or you're very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal.
Weapons?
Sure, take my testimony for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to.
What? Is that true?
Afraid so, the chief of police has the right to refuse to testify.
Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks.
Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial.
This is the hardest cross-examination? I'd believe it.
Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you.
Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony.
As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, he slipped up. That power outage didn't help either.
Okay, that's one slight contradiction.
When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery.
Is that when Doc was arrested?
Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Doc bumped his head.
I see, everything seems pretty clear-cut.
The police chief has the right to refuse to testify. And I'd better hit him hard and fast. Okay. So the two of you ran immediately after him, right?
That's right, but Doc made it to the elevator first. So Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky.
What's this about a power outage?
Oh, that. The elevator stopped all of a sudden and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went into his heart, though.
That's not funny. Alright. Found Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. I mean, I'm gonna press him on this, 'cause that's not really true. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt. But moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances.
Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you'd better off staring at the court record.
Worthy, always the smooth talker.
Which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Well, it did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow I've got to link Gant to the incident. I know. Yeah. Oh. Is it not? What frame rate are you seeing it at? I'll mess with that later. Should be able to do this. There you go. Okay. If you really had nothing to do with the forgery, then how do you explain this?
What's that? What's that on it? A handprint?
Oh, that's true. Chief
Gant, your explanation,
Chief Gant, your explanation, please?
I don't know. You tell me, son.
Huh?
My dear Raito, don't you know the second rule of evidence law?
Oh, not this again. Evidence law.
Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Tell me, how is that rag relevant to this trial?
appears the defense was not prepared.
I guess it's too early to use this piece of evidence.
Please expect my profound apologies, Chief. Would you mind giving the defense another chance?
Well, okay, I'll do it just this once, but only because you asked, Dudgy.
Thank you. I assure you the defense is terribly sorry.
Yeah, sorry I didn't nail you. Alright, let's try saving again. And the only other one is this. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up.
Explain yourself.
Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example.
That's the blue bladger you showed us earlier.
A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier. We actually found it inside your desk.
It was found where?
You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation.
Gant, what's the meaning of this?
Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy.
So you admit to it, then? That you were involved in the forgery?
Who, me? What do you mean, you?
Me? Why would I have anything to do with that?
Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Raito?
However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation.
Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment.
What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Phoenix, don't you remember he was fired earlier, like yesterday?
Well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene.
My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together.
I see.
Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. They were found after Doc was convicted, and they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way.
Mr. Wright,
Yes, Your Honor.
investigating the crime scene. Should have been more careful to observe protocol.
Do you understand that I'm the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Indeed, I believe I will press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again.
My apologies, Chief. Would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know.
All right, Aji, in return, though.
I know. That place, right?
Huh? What are these guys, telepathic?
For all I know, you could have planted them in my office.
Can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. What do you mean by that?
This is all purely hypothetical, of course. But suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery.
If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery,
I'm not through speaking yet, righto. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. They were found after Doc was convicted, and they're worthless.
are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation?
It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. For all we know, it could have suddenly materialized the day after Doc was sentenced.
Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right. The chief is talking about a possibility. So long as you can't rule that out, your remarks, however clever they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Tell me something I don't know.
Come now, righto. Think about it. No reason I'd participate in a forgery.
How can you look me in the eye and say that?
Because I'm innocent. Remember, who was it that murdered Neil?
Not sure I care for the word murder here. In the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was a Mascar.
Well, do you see now? Rearranging the wouldn't help me out in any way.
Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there's one very large benefit you reaped from all this.
Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit?
That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police.
Oh,
The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in itself is sufficient motive.
Oh, that's a good one.
Huh?
Do you really think I'm that incompetent?
What do you mean?
Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little.
Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway.
God, be careful when pointing that finger. You might wind up being the one pointed at.
So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else.
Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Haji, would you mind if I changed my testimony a little?
by all means, please do.
I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. I'm gonna save at this point. Let's just process for a second. Nothing in it for you?
Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? You think I felt sorry for her? You'd better think again.
You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone.
Tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised.
You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though.
Oh, that's a good one, Worthy.
Couldn't there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped? Would he have helped someone out? I think so. Sure, you might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone.
Right. As you're positively determined to betray the chief, as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand.
That's not what I mean.
Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence?
Lana Sky.
Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky, a defendant.
I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Sky fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit.
Self-profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Sky was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant.
But how will he profit from all of this?
He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
You mean to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's Jim Henson here. Come on. Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Sky in forging evidence. Your motive to appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her.
Righto, my boy, you have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something.
What?
Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing?
Lana is keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant.
Afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than a mere conjecture.
Unless that is also what happened in this incident.
This incident? Which one would that be?
Of course, I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her.
Worthy? You'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
What do you mean?
What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement.
What? Order! I said order!
Sorry for that, peaked the mic there a little bit.
Right, you can't be serious.
Huh?
This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder. That is impossible.
Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Antworth said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this.
Can you prove this, Mr. Wright?
Maybe?
The chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved with the murder.
Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. Also true. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell.
I see. Alright then. See what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman.
Oh, it's gotta be in here somewhere. It's too early for that. Oh, I mean, well, technically speaking. It's also this. It's also this. It's this, and it's this, and maybe some other things. But which one is it?
There's the ID card list.
Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine. The owner of yesterday. 77777777.
Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number.
It's your number.
What? How do you know that?
The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code.
7 digits? You don't mean...
I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on the list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime.
Order! Order! Gant, what do you have to say?
Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations.
And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card.
Gant, so you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime.
What about it?
I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Hell Slices. I hope you enjoy the movies. What are you gonna go see? Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone?
I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room.
Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he?
Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days.
You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman.
You mean? First purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt.
No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met with the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting?
Now, curious, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence.
There was proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime. Well, I mean, there is technically that. Ah, horror film. Yeah, I hope you have fun. The video? Because it was open, but we don't have a record of him entering beforehand, so it had to have been opened some other way. I'm gonna go with this. No, there's gotta be something more solid than this. On that day, Detective Goodman had to see Chief Gant. Oh! I'm an idiot. I remember. Yeah, I know. Okay.
Why don't you perhaps we could write up your letter of termination?
Regardless, you did see Detective Gant that day. I know what it is. I'm an idiot. I forgot. It's finally time. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the chief of police.
And you are in possession of that report, which means you can't be sure he filed it.
He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day.
Needed to?
Yes, to transfer the evidence out.
Oh.
Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room.
I accompanied him.
It's actually really cool to see him kind of crack under pressure. There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room.
Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the chief of police, murdered poor Goodman?
Exactly.
Right. Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. Could have just lent him his ID card.
Yeah.
Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort.
Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. Oh my gosh. That's an amazing...
Gant, you didn't.
The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there?
I was at the police department the entire day, you know.
And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except, it seems... Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Actually, it's very clear what he used. We'll save just in case, but...
Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so.
Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. But all this time, I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space. Yup.
How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us his evidence.
To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. Show me that screwdriver. And this is how he moved Detective Goodman's body.
Is that a screwdriver? What does that have to do with this case?
Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is the screwdriver doing here? It's here because... I was asked to go, by Chief Gant no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office, but you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car.
Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Yes, unless of course you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye.
Order. What's going on here? The room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations.
Think back to the photograph Mr. Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It's a photo of the body being taken from the trunk.
Gant, please say something.
I believe your time's up.
Wait, time's up?
Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We've got to get going if we're to make time for the early bird special.
But the cross-examination isn't finished yet.
Remember what I told you earlier. Police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal.
Have a good one, Hell Slices. Thanks for stopping by.
Weapons? With the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now.
What? It's not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
So you're going to just run after all of this?
Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman? That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now.
Well, I
think I had Lana dispose of the body?
Let's see here.
So, then show your proof and get it over with.
Say it again, Mr. Wright. Tim Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright.
Your Honor.
Is there any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of his body.
Do I have any concrete proof? I don't know. Do I have concrete proof? This. Let me save here. I think I'm gonna get it wrong. Can't let him just squirm his way out of this. I've got to keep the pressure on. Yes, Your Honor. I do have such evidence.
Please hurry up and present it. Just remember, for the proof Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Think. 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 Died within an hour and a half, 4 p.m. Just don't know. What can I do to this thing? What is it? Probably gonna be a lot of trial and error here. Where did Detective Goodman? Think. Hold on. We do have the large amount of blood, but did we explain that already? Could be the knife. Alright.
Exactly as evidence.
It's proof as to whether or not it's enough to demonstrate the chief's guilt. I'll let you be the judge.
But I am the judge.
Alright. Well, what do you think, Your Honor?
I think Mr. Wright is going to be late for lunch.
Alright. Oh, I see. That could be. So it must be this thing then, I would assume. Maybe it's finally time for this.
So, what exactly is this?
Nope, not that one. No, so it's either that or I have to say I don't have evidence yet, which is also possible. Nope. Okay. I wonder... Okay, here's the thing. I'm actually gonna try something different, because I did save at this point. Let's say this. Not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor, at present I have no conclusive evidence.
CRG?
In that case,
What?
Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, righto? Seems that Lady Luck has been on my side again today. Okay, Aji, I'll leave the rest to you.
I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
What? There we go. Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her.
Mr. Edwards, what do you mean?
There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth, another witness? In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all these questions. Raised in this trial, someone right in this very room.
Edward, who is this person?
Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Ah.
Such a witness exists.
You may not be willing to tell the truth. We can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth Lana Sky.
Defendant? Lana Sky?
She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task to dispose of the victim's body in accordance with a certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edwards.
Prosecution has no objections, Your Honor.
Very well, the court will now take its final recess for the day. 15 minutes we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. Court is now in
Hold on.
Huh? Gant, thought you were going to eat.
Listen good, Lana.
He's talking to Lana. This is absolutely witness intimidation, by the way.
I don't think you need me to tell you this. But if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder.
This isn't good.
Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. All right then. I've got a lunch date to meet.
Okay, there aren't any further objections. This court is now in recess.
Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help, Edgeworth.
The chief. He's something else, eight bells.
Detective Gumshoe.
I'm not a detective anymore.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
Don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office.
My office?
Sure. I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with.
Could he mean Maya?
Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. If Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand?
It's not fair. He has the right to refuse to testify. Settle down, right? Remember what the judge said.
Chief, this is not right to be invoked casually. There are certain risks to be considered.
Risks? What did he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Ah, there you go. Emma, are you okay? Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah. Now I finally know what really happened. I think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. She did it all, just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she'd changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her.
What do you mean?
What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside, to force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall.
Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. You want to blame anyone, blame society, pal.
Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor. I see.
Well, we better get back. It's time for the final act.
Emma, why don't you wait? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there. Lana tells the truth. Let's go, right? It's time to end this.
Be continued.
Here we go.
Now then, the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, please take the stand.
Miss Lana Sky, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years.
Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Sky. Remember, you're under oath. You want to hear the truth.
Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. Yep. Make it or break it time.
Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant.
Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma.
Are you sure about this testimony?
Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana!
That's true, then that means Chief Gant has nothing to do with this.
That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself.
The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. But think about it, Miss Sky. You didn't murder Detective Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you, Mr. Wright? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Detective Goodman with a knife. And? All by myself. Do you do so to help your sister? Joe Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was justifiable self-defense. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. Lana.
That's why you fabricated the evidence 2 years ago.
When I found prosecutors, I rearranged the crime scene. You say you did this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? Seems I was the first person to discover the scene. A broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. Well, that's not possible. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies. All just to protect me.
When you found the scene like this, what did you do? After all, that's what everything boils down to.
Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound?
Then you moved the body.
But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know, Edgewood. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad. Maybe I ought to ask. But yeah, why did you move the body, though? How would that have helped you? Try this one. When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk. But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there? The reason for that is simple.
Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Sky moved the body.
The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. Pieces of the jar? You mean... Yes, the wretched jar you showed us earlier. In order to show that Dark committed the crime, I felt it would be more expedient to move the body. So, when you first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it had been shattered into pieces. Look at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Neil Marshall was dead, and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during their struggle.
I see.
What's the matter, Emma? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed. Right, but it couldn't have been. Because how did he write on it? But I have a feeling there's more to it than that. There must be a contradiction here somewhere. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. Except, it couldn't be. Miss Sky, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister.
You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered?
If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction with your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events that threatened my plan." During the events threatened my plan. That's right.
Is there any problem with that?
It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not yet have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar.
Order, order!
Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and its bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we are headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. Well, we'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth.
Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony.
because Gant was probably the first on the scene. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
I mean, you were the one who wiped away the message in blood.
I wasn't chief prosecutor at that time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence.
Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination.
I didn't have time to check it out. So you didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Well, that helps my case. Lana, you do that for me? Seems you two might make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was.
If someone happened upon the scene, you'd lose your
chance to erase the evidence. You must have been in a hurry. I was. I knew I had to destroy the evidence before anyone came.
It's rather shocking.
Wiped away the blood. But how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black in that office. A detective is always prepared, Mr. Bright. Even now, I always carry a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency luminol wherever I go. I never miss anything. I found every last piece. That's not true. Except, you didn't. Miss Sky, I believe this jar controls a truth even you were unaware of. What? We found the final piece of the jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it.
But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them.
Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you.
Couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece?
I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective.
They would be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Can you believe that?
Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Why that?
There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness.
I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gant at the time he was looking for Dark downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar?
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that? Yeah, Judge, it's your time on the stand.
No! Wait. I'm not the one on trial here.
Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposely hid one of the broken pieces. Question, what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence.
Why would Chief Gant do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear?
What happened afterwards?
Discovering the scene, Lana Sky believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Sky became the chief's puppet. No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their clients. Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap?
Something wrong, Mr. Wright.
Like he might have believed that this would have come up at some point. Lana, maybe right after all.
What do you mean, right?
So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Sky, please testify once more. What? If evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I don't remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall. Miss Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
All right. Witness may testify once more for the final time.
Actual crime scene. Yeah? When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor's sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent.
Believable. The body was impaled on the armor's sword.
You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed. But I don't remember receiving a picture like that. Okay, no, I couldn't have discovered that beforehand. Okay. Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright? She really does have faith in you.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana. Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere. Nope, wrong one. Oh. Oh my word. Hey, there's a picture here. Oh, and look, a part's already been torn off the vest. Oh. Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like that, because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I had rearranged everything. Mr. Wright, that piece cut from this vest, could that be the cloth we found inside Chief Gant's safe? What's this? This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whoever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer. Yeah, about that. What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer.
Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination.
The actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marno's body impaled on... That was quick.
Come now, Wudgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen.
Chief Gant.
What now, you want to make me out as the bad guy too? So I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense.
I'm afraid it's too late for that.
What?
You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck.
So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements.
What do you mean?
The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence.
Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence?
No, I don't, but someone does.
Someone.
So what's your excuse, righto?
Yeah, I know.
Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall, causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt.
Is this true, Mr. Wright?
I show that piece of evidence now. Emma's sure to be made out as the murderer.
Right, if you have any more evidence presented now, and if you try to conceal anything, you'll be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries.
What do I do now? Better think this through carefully. Can't afford to make the wrong decision. Very true. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall. I gotta have faith. Yes, Your Honor. I do have further evidence. Alright, it's time to finally come to show it to them. Those prints have gotta be the Chief's.
Now then, let's see this conclusive evidence. Evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
There is a fourth page of evidence, my word. Well, here goes nothing.
It's a piece of leather cloth.
Yes, most likely was cut from the victim's vest near his chest. What's this? There's a big handprint on it.
Surely it must have been left on the cloth by whoever shoved the victim into the sword.
What? His fingerprints are on this.
I'm sure Rido has checked, haven't you?
Well, who are they?
They're Miss Skies. Miss Emma Skies. What? They're mine? So I really did do it.
See, I told you it was conclusive.
But this was found in your safe. That means it's possible you forged it.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any cloth in my safe. You really expect me to believe that?
But Give it up, Mr. Wright. It's over. You shouldn't have presented that. By presenting that evidence, you tied Emma Skye to Neil Marshall's death. No.
Here's we have our killer.
No! No! Thing hinge on that point. On alone. Yeah. That is why we saved. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Oh, that's technically true, actually. That is technically true. I didn't think about that. What?
You lie!
Chief Gant.
You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence.
I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together.
Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. And that's why you won't present it.
What are you talking about, Chief Gant?
Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area?
Looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason.
You mean you had this in your safe?
What? That means you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
Yeah. Yep.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, righto? Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean to admit to it?
I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her?
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister. And when she saw the scene, she would ask for my aid.
What is that? I think it's just rain, but it sounded like branches could have been falling outside. Sorry about that. So you assisted Miss Skye.
I told her to arrange all the evidence. I'd had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room.
And I ended up against that evidence to get Joe Dock convicted using that evidence.
When I tampered with that crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you.
2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe?
But what? For insurance, of course.
Insurance?
I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence.
Do you take me for a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jar fragment? I had the most legible part of Emma's name. Didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood of all the pieces.
If you had fabricated all the evidence, it's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar, too.
Oh. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance.
You mean that piece of cloth?
Come on, righto, cough it up already. I know you have it.
What if I don't want to? What if I don't want to?
What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright?
So you admit to it then, Chief Gant? That you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe?
Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. It's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Well, Mr. Wright, you have to say for yourself. A moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late.
It's been a long battle. The moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. I believe it's still this. It's the rules of evidence law, right? That's the whole point that was in that book. There wasn't a connection. No, it's too late to show the evidence now. Besides, even if I did, I just expose that Pargo's fingerprints. Right? Think hard over the circumstances. The circumstances? I'm talking about then and now. There's one major difference between the two. Weren't you waiting for that difference? Ah, okay. That's fine. Mr. Wright? Yeah. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest.
Oh yes, at least you finally brought it out into the open.
There's a handprint on this piece of cloth.
Your Honor, the prosecution requests to be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. The handprint on the leather. There must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean...
It could not have been forged. It must be authentic, exclusive, conclusive evidence.
You're as slow on the uptake as ever, Worthy.
What?
Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be?
You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well. I'll tell you. Should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is...
Emma Sky.
They're mine? Sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me?
You're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still tried to pin the murder on me.
It's true. Tragic but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
How could you? You monster!
Sky!
You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet.
Ha, but I'm afraid it's over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer?
Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up.
Oh, and what's that?
Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
What?
Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
It was Emma Sky, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, This piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? Contradiction? What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is.
Right, this piece of cloth. Could it possibly contradict?
You can't. Your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Oh boy. What is it trying to argue?
What exactly is this supposed to be?
This is the picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it. It's the blood. There's no blood on the cloth. See where the piece of this vest was cut out?
Yes, sort of showing underneath. Hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth.
Yeah. Spotless.
Wait, there's no blood on it. Ah,
Since Emma Sky's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time.
No, this is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. A jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer.
No!
It's finally all over.
That was close, right? Oh, you almost had me.
Yeah. Find out.
Sorry, but you'll have to do better than for future allegations.
Actually, don't know if I can. Go away. 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let's see what it does.
You mean you refute his allegations?
See that piece of cloth? It is illegal evidence.
Order, order. What nonsense is this?
Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Raji. Earlier, Alrighto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then what's your excuse, Raito? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you?
Your Honor, I don't have any evidence that I can present at this point in time.
That's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence.
At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence.
But that's not fair.
Do you actually think you could beat me in court? Looks like the last laugh's on you, son.
Afraid Mr. Grant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth.
True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright.
Seems at last. Time for me to review my plan has finally arrived.
Mr. Wright. You admit to it. You purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth.
I did not. I admit, I refused to present it at one point.
Aha, so the evidence is illegal.
No, it isn't, Mr. Gant.
Huh?
It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't?
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence.
No, Raji, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. He can't really believe.
There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not?
Well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
It's the book! This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law.
What's this?
I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more.
What?
You see, it's written right here in this book, the second rule of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence by myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have the approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and...
Sorry, but can you recall, when was that picture presented?
It was shown only a few moments ago.
No.
He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave its value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest.
Oh, yes. No!
It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who could that be. Damon Gant, the killer was you.
No. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years, he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me.
It does. That's really cool to see. That's amazing. And your crime wasn't exactly petty.
He wanted to investigate the case. He recruited Angel Star, then convinced Bruce Goodman.
Detective Goodman.
Yeah, that's right.
The evidence. This transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me.
Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit.
He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence.
Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room, and all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman?
Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? I can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered.
He opened his evidence locker and he was taking the evidence out. He said,
It's not too late. I'm gonna hand this all over to Marshall.
well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words.
Oh, does it really? That's great. That's cool. I mean, it's a cool technological quirk that it can crash emulators. I'm sure that's not a fun thing to crash your emulator, but...
I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out.
Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime.
Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worried so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake.
The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker.
I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of that.
Then you put the body in my car.
Sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will.
Edgeworth, it's okay. The car is not important right now. Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how could you get Miss Sky involved in all of this?
Well, she has as much to lose as I did if the truth came out.
So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker.
I felt bad for having to do it. Also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take.
So, you left the jar fragments in the glove.
Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer.
He is being pretty cheery about it. He's not really...
They all did their best to get in my way. Got to hand it to them. They do their job well, much to my dismay.
Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that.
Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court?
Me?
You despise criminals? I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Aji?
What?
Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, David Gant. I knew you as you used to be, long ago. You were once a fine investigator, and an example to others of the Force.
Yeah, I assume that's true. I assume that's fairly prophetic of what will occur at some point.
Sorry to learn that you are no longer that person.
Those days are gone now, Aji. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Rido here. And Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning.
There are two things I want you to understand. Yes. First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence, up until today.
So, seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered.
I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My, what high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top.
I owe
you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Sky. And you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job.
In light of this case, seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Sky,
Yes, Your Honor.
you're innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. Trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
There's something amusing about all of this. Or are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains.
Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky, not guilty. That is all. This court is adjourned.
February 25th, 5:03 p.m. At long last, it's finally over. Emma? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook. But... Oh, that's true. Yeah, this case would have been nice to adapt into the anime. Oh. Tesho Genda? That would have been a great choice. That would have been a great choice. But at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, I can see why Mia Fey thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. You too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit. I've seen this all. Okay. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. Yeah. Or we're gonna show you Suga? Yeah, I could see it. I think, yeah, either one of those would have been good choices.
I'm not interrupting anything, Bells. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later.
Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Make a detective running all around while on duty. Stop it off, you call me here. Saying up your people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, Bells. I'm only kidding.
Oh? Are you here because of my sister again?
Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal.
Me?
That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone.
Lana! Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know.
Well, I won't tell if you won't.
Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago, it was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. Sis, I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. Huh? I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I know how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you reacted to you. But sis, you were only doing it for me. No. Huh? I turned my back on you that day. In hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. Sis, I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. But sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis, I always knew that one day you'd come back. And now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma. Oh, that's cute. No one can change the past. And the only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing, we can find the way back to our rightful path. And it's from there that we can move toward a brighter future. At least, that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe.
Me?
Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth, stop hiding and come over here. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth.
Right, well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth? Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gant was right.
Despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone.
I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime on my own, I need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. But Edgeworth, who knows, give it enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor Manfred von Karma were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Mr. Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present an evidence that otherwise would have been gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Huh? What, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz?
Come on, Mr. Wright, show him what Lana's talking about.
Evidence, something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. That might mean something to you, but I don't see how it had anything to do with our partnership. It seems you still have a lot to learn as well. I guess that wasn't the right piece of evidence. It's time for me to go. Oops. If you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Oops. Messed that one up. Nothing like messing up a QuickTime event right at the end. Well, whatever you do, just remember. Well, whatever you do, just remember. You can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth. I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I'd better be going too.
Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon.
Seems we both have a lot to learn, and a lot of catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you.
Scientific investigation?
It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well.
Thanks, sis. I will.
And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Gotta go stand under a waterfall.
Well, don't you go trekking off just yet, pal.
Huh? What is it, detective?
It's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this.
But I thought you said it was okay.
Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story.
Huh?
Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either.
Huh? Way to go, detective. Didn't know you had a wild side.
Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Right here's the one who will be footing the bill.
Huh? Huh?
What, do you think I could afford it with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal.
Huh? Huh? Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream?
Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. And there we have the credits. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. I hope she'll be pleased to study under a top coroner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I managed to find my way back to the field somehow. Then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma.
Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation of the chief's office. If we penalized you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. Just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily.
My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them though. Someday I'm gonna make detective. Yes, sir. That's when I can be just like that Dick Gumshoe.
There's the blue badger. Oh no.
What is it? Can't you see I'm having a mess? Showdown with a steak lunch partner? Mr. managed to sneak this into me. He's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, it looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. It's a hot seller around exam time, so make sure not to eat it backwards.
I actually really enjoyed the last case. It's a little long. But I actually enjoyed it.
Never forget what the young defense lawyer said after that. Let's see, what was his name again? Mr. Left. Anyway, said he's been doing something or other for how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better be... Oh no, grab my gavel. Sorry, gotta go.
Yeah, a little long. The investigations are honestly really what brings it, that really extends it, the investigations in between the trial days. If you can get through the trials themselves are not that long. Well, this trial was like 3 hours, so this one was. But the first 2 days aren't as long. Oh, it's my,
Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you and your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium.
Stigma. Afternoon training's about to begin.
Coming. Well, see you around, Nick.
Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth, I brought you your tea. What's going on?
Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book.
Oh, that's a cute image. There you go. There you have it. That's the first game done. Oh. We'll probably take a little break before jumping into the second game, play some other games to kind of intersperse it out. But if you're able to tune in, thank you very much for tuning in. This is where we'll leave it for the day. 3.5 hours seems pretty darn good. So with that, I hope you have a good day, a good night, a good morning, wherever it is you be. Remember to drink some water, eat some food, get some sleep. Take care of yourself the best that you can. But with that, I'm signing off, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.